So today we're going to train arms part one. Forearms, biceps, triceps with the weight wheel, farmer carries, dead hangs, bicep curls, tricep extensions, a little bit of everything. So, came to the right place. Here's where I start with training arms. I'll start with my forearms. I'm going to just hit this weight wheel. I am going to pick a direction and I'm going to make sure that rope goes mostly up the middle so I don't dominate on one side, and I want to articulate my wrist to the best of my ability. I want those wrists flexing and extending. This video is going to be sped up a bit so we don't waste too much time on something that's simple. But that's how you get that pump initiated and started. Now I'm going to go with some wrist flexion with this thick bar, fat bar. If you don't have a thicker, fatter bar at your gym, you can always use the fat grips and put them on a regular barbell. And so the circumference of that makes your forearms work a little bit harder. So here I'm just slowly pumping those forearms up, getting that blood flow that I need. This isn't that fatiguing. There's going to be a lot of volume, like 20 to 30 reps. You're looking at volume. And if you don't train forearms often, then you maybe be at like 15 reps. But you want the volume. That's what's going to get the blood flow at a lighter weight. Now I'm throwing in some curls, blood flow to the biceps. Let my wrist drag down. I can feel that in my forearms as well. And I'm just going to take my time and let that blood flow get to those working muscles, because it's prepping me for heavier moves. So that was my underhand grip. Now I'm going overhand grip, squeezing that thick bar, and I'm going to just do a reverse curl. Keep my elbows down and roll that bar all the way up. It's like a partial range of motion. I'm just getting a pump. Well, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to pump it up. I'm not overly fatiguing the arms. I'll switch up my grip. Still keeping those elbows down, getting those wrists up. As I do this reverse curl, I'm flexing. It's wrist flexion. This is what it looks like from that side view. Those forearms are getting pumped. There's blood flow in there right now, prepping me for heavier moves. And pay attention to what you feel, because you will feel those muscles start to fatigue. So just make sure you don't overdo it. You got to save a little bit in the gas tank for some of the heavy stuff that you'll do. So as I finish out with the pump, I'll stretch. I'll stop, do a light stretch on my forearms. I do a little more stretching than that, but make sure that move that I did right there is very important to get those forearms stretched out so they don't get too tight. You don't want them to get too tight on you. Now let's move over to a dead hang. Doing a dead hang here, just hold it on to create fatigue. If you pump your arms up and then you do a dead hang, you won't hang as long. But overall, the objective is to be able to fatigue yourself and challenge those forearms. You can come right out of the gate and start, but I'd recommend pumping them up just a bit so it makes the dead hang just a little harder. As well as if you're doing a farmer carry or just a hold, kettlebell hold with my wrist flexed. Got to go pumping my forearms now, so now they're prepared to hold heavier weight, body weight, kettlebells. I've prepped them. And I'm just doing some shrugs because I know I'd like my shoulders and my traps to have some blood flow before I start doing some pulling exercises that's going to help me train my biceps. So nothing wrong with throwing some shrugs in the mix, but that fatigue is going to kick in. Remember to take breaks. Your goal is to accumulate just enough fatigue, shake your arms out, and then start again. And look, you can also add in different rotations while you're holding these kettlebells. The goal is what you feel and how well you can create fatigue. All right, so now I got this incline bench set up where I'm just going to do wrist flexion, and I'm going to just roll this weight. So I'm working my biceps. My forearms are definitely talking to me. I don't have to go that heavy because, once again, I do want to target the weakest link in the chain. That's going to be the forearms. Yes, I'm working my shoulders, but I'm also working my biceps, and I'm also working those forearms. Weight's pretty light. Only got, a 10-pound plates on each side. And then now, I'm just doing a curl. It's fairly heavy, so it's looking like partial repetitions here, holding that weight, getting the blood flow. You're not going to need as much volume as you go. You're gonna have less volume because it's just more fatigue. So here, this is an isometric hold. I can feel that in the dorsal part of my forearm. I'm just pulling it up, pumping that muscle up. Take breaks as necessary. Fatigue will set in and it'll kick in, and taking a 2-minute break to stretch and rub out the muscles that are fatiguing is smart. So now I'm going for a more full bicep curl. Forearms are working. They're screaming. But not enough to stop me from completing a full range of motion. So I'm hitting those biceps, but those forearms are getting hit with it. And I left enough juice in them so that I can actually perform the curl. So moving on to triceps, I got the fat grips that I talked about earlier. Put the fat grips on there. It's only 45 pounds, but I'm folding that bar down on top of my chest. Look how much elbow bend I'm getting. I'm loading up those triceps. I could also feel that in my forearms too, because I'm working through the wrist. Nice, slow, controlled movements. Don't have to go too heavy. Looking for volume, looking for the pump. Overhead tricep extension here. As I descend that bar, is it coming down slow? I'm getting a stretch, and I'm driving it out. You can also isolate the triceps. There's so many different tricep exercises. But with this one, I can support myself by using my left arm as that weight comes down on top and I'm folded in, and I've got the fat grips on that dumbbell because I still want my forearms to be doing some work. And I'm just extending my arm across the body. And this looks a little bit more traditional, like a nose breaker, but once again, I'm folding that arm down, getting maximum elbow bend, and extending it at the right time. I want to extend that elbow at the right time. Not too early and not too soon. Use that assisted arm to guide you. And so say if I want to do the seated option, let's give you some options here. Get that wrist below the elbow. Get your wrist below the elbow. You can get the most out of it that way. You're going from a stretch to a contraction. A full range of motion. Yes, you can do partial reps. I like to do full ranges of motion and partials. I like to mix it up. The body will respond. So take that deep. Drive it up. So now, going back to forearms, plate flips. Got my fingers spread underneath the plate, and I'm allowing my wrist to extend down. That's creating a stretch in my forearms, but they're loaded still. So now I have to flex that plate up. My biceps are in an isometric position, so I can feel it there as well. But this is definitely laying some tax down on my forearms. The goal is to create fatigue. There is no desired rep count per se, but fatigue, you're looking to create fatigue. Now here, with this grip that I have here, this plate curls like a hammer curl, but I'm using a plate. My fingers are working, my hands are working, my forearms are working, biceps are working. It's only 25 pounds, but once again, when you're thinking about the volume that you want to accumulate to pump the muscle up, and I'm using a plate versus a dumbbell. You can use a dumbbell, but plates are reinforcing that grip, that tensile strength within the fingers. Reinforcing that. All right, make sure you stretch your forearms and loosen them up to finish.